flip-flop, knee-jerk, the reconstructed project diversion timeline. Every witness has changed the story. So I am making this recording before this story changes again. The original one, I have it in my profile. I recorded it. So this one is a more expanded project diversion. Early October to December 2024, Adams related complaints and SAPS dockets. Adam makes complaints all over the country and opens dockets. The SAPS inspectorate examined those complaints and sought a legal opinion because the affidavits were regarded as basic and in the inspectorate's assessment did not adequately disclose the elements of the criminal offense. Supported by the SAPS correspondence examining during Padayashi's testimony. Significance. At this stage, SAPS itself was still trying to determine whether Adams' complaints disclosed prosecutable criminal conduct. And the bad person is General Jacobs. We move on to 11 November 2024. Nkabinde's correspondence to IDAC, a document attributed to Cedric Nkabinde from the Minister of Police Office, was dated 11 November 2024 and purported to place the Adams murder before IDAC. The date of the correspondence is definitely confirmed, but what is unresolved is what legal effect did this letter have, because it does not meet the criteria of the Section 27. It was not itself the affidavit or firm declaration of the person allegedly possessing the reasonable grounds to suspect required by the mandate of IDAC. We move on to November 21 or November 27. The handwriting is not clear there. So the disputed Adams Section 27 date. The Section 27 affidavit eventually produced before the Commission. The Commission has labeled it as CJC 373, appears to bear the date of November 21st. So we will go with November 21st because that's the date that Andrea Johnson also says the Section 27 is dated November 21st. But the date is no longer a big problem. It's not a problem whether it's 21st or 27 November. It really doesn't matter. Both Ramsamy and Rapesu say the CJC 373 is not, I repeat, is not the Section 27 affidavit that they saw between 5 and 6 December of 2024. That's what they're saying now. Now, before 6 December 2024, evidence of prior knowledge and contact. Rapesu testified that Ramsamy told him that Perumal and Padayashe had already met Adams before Section 2813 investigation was authorized. Rapesu also gave evidence suggesting that Sunil Beluchan appeared to know about the project diversion before the formal team allocation because colleagues told him Beluchan was upset that he had allegedly been promised the lead investigator role but had not received it. They are not direct observation for the earlier meetings. They are reported evidence requiring testing against Ramsamy, Perumal, Padayashe, Belushan, and the underlying documents. The significance of this is the emerging question. How much investigative activity, consultation, and target selection had already occurred before the formal 2813 authorization that happened in 6 December 2024. Rapesu himself said investigators on his level ordinarily became involved only after the Section 28 authority existed. 3 December 2024. Ramsamy is selected for an agent assignment. Ramsamy says Johnson arranged for her to prepare an agent product that had to be completed by end of day Friday, 6 December 2024. This occurred before Ramsamy had personally examined the purported Section 27 referral. The status right now is that Ramsamy's direct evidence reportedly supported by email correspondence. The significance of it is the process appears already to have been moving toward a Section 2813 authorization before the prosecutor tasked with preparing it had assessed the Section 27 referral. I hope you guys are following me because I'm assuming you understand Section 27 and 28, what the difference is. So now we move on to 5 December 2024, approximately at around 8 a.m. This is a big one. The gray document bag emerges. Ramsamy says Johnson handed her a gray zipped document bag. What Johnson presented as Section 27 referral affidavit and a separate handwritten page containing suspect names. Johnson allegedly instructed Ramsamy not to copy the document, the purported Section 27, to prepare a Section 2813 application and to return the bag the following morning. According to Ramsamy, Johnson told her that a decision had already been made that the matter would be investigated. What is unresolved? Who had supposedly made that decision? And on what information? Based on what? Still on 5 December 2024, the separate suspect list, Ramsamy says the handwritten page contained names she was required to place into the Section 2813 application as suspects. She says these names did not all emerge from the affidavit that she had seen. According to her, Johnson attributed the list to discussions involving Perumal. The sequence on Ramsamy's version was not the affidavit assessed, suspects identified from evidence, investigation proposed. But what really happened was the decision was already taken. A separate suspect list was supplied, names inserted into a proposed authorization, documents that must be ultimately be compared is the handwritten list, the missing Section 27 affidavit, CJC 373 that the Commission has, Ramsamy's draft Section 2813, the final signed authorization, and its suspect annexure. Evening of the same day, 5 December 2024, Ramsamy sends the draft 2813. Ramsamy says she completed the application after court and emailed it to Andrea Johnson that evening. Before we move on to December 6th, a very big day, please take a sip of your tea or drink. Please help me grow my channel by sharing your thoughts in the comment section, including any corrections in my narration. Did I miss anything? Also, share my content in your profiles and follow me as I give updates on this IDAC series. Actually, I mean the changing story of the IDAC timeline. 6 December 2024, the central pivot day. Two major law enforcement processes in the criminal justice system were moving on the same day. Operation 1. Khumalo's structure moves against KT and Ket Matlala. KT was arrested, Ket Matlala's property was searched, and the items were seized. Gauteng crime intelligence personnel were assisted by PKTT members. And Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo's operational environment was centrally involved. Captain Wanda confirmed that he was called on the 5th of December to assist with the planned 6th December takedown, the Hawks interruption. During the takedown, a Hawks contingent unexpectedly arrived. The Madlanga Commission's evidence concerned allegations of interference with the operation. Wanda's evidence was that information had apparently been received suggesting General Libea and the Hawks members were already at the Sandhurst property conducting an operation. Brigadier Mukwena later sought to demonstrate that Libea was actually elsewhere. After Wanda's interaction with Mukwena, the Hawks contingent eventually left. Then the minister's name appears. Immediately thereafter, Lehasa Moloi, one of the people that whether works or is related to Molefe, asked Wanda what was going to happen because Molefe was allegedly a friend of the Minister of Police. Wanda specifically clarified, Senzo Mpumi. Moloi said yes, and Wanda testified that he took the remark lightly and did not investigate its significance. Contemporaneous name drop now belongs in the chronology of this whole timeline. The second operation that happened on 6 December 2024, IDAC activates Project Diversion towards the end of the day. On that same day, Section 2813 preliminary investigation was authorized. Johnson personally participated in the interception process. Khumalo and other crime intelligence officials were already identified within the investigation. IDAC urgently, I highlight, urgently sought the SAPS dockets that Adam had created all over the country. And Johnson personally approaches Lieutenant General Sentimule for intervention. The question is, what did Johnson, Perimal, and others involved in Project Diversion know about Molefe Matlala operation when Project Diversion was being activated? The coincidence of timing is not proof of retaliation or coordination, but the timing is now an evidential fact that cannot simply be removed or ignored from the reconstruction of this timeline. IDAC is a crime scene. Do not cross. Still on the same day, 6 December 2024, before the team meeting. This is before a team meeting that happened that day. Ramsamy shows the disputed Section 27 affidavit to Rapesu. Ramsamy says she privately showed Rapesu the affidavit because she was concerned about it. It lacked substantiation, and the mismatch between the affidavit and the separate suspect list. Rapesu independently confirms that he read the document briefly. He remembers an affidavit that was approximately 5 to 10 pages, dealt substantially with the PKTT, referred to Orlando and Valeria dockets that Adam had opened all over the country, dealt with PKTT accommodation and laundry expenses, referred to vehicles and Secret Service account expenditures, and contained allegations relating to Madondo, vetting, procurement, forklift, and PKTT matters. Rapesu later was shown the CJC 373. His evidence was clear. That was not the affidavit that he saw. Adam's Section 27 problem now has two eyewitnesses, version 1, version 2, version 3, and version 4. In my previous recording, I have gone into details about these different versions, so I suggest you go into my profile and check that recording because we are in a marathon. We have to keep going. See, still on the same day, 6 December 2024, the Section 2813 authorization is signed. Ramsame says that after returning the disputed Section 27, Johnson gave her the signed 2813 authorization. Tadayashi also confirmed that the preliminary investigation was authorized in writing on 6 December 2024. So that has 3 witnesses now that have confirmed, maybe 4 witnesses with Andrea Johnson. So this is a very strong documentary anchor. This one is very strong. So, and again, same day, 6 December 2024, Project Diversion Team Briefing. Ramsame and Rapesu placed the interception meeting in Johnson's office. Those present included Andrea Johnson, Dylan Perriman, Drew Ramsame, and Mr. Rapesu. Tadayashi was not present. Financial investigator Wessels was not present. The designated DTP Manilau was also absent. Rapesu regarded Johnson's personal participation as unusual because such allocations and briefings were ordinarily conducted through the investigative prosecutorial management structure. So direct evidence of this is only coming from Ramsame and Rapesu, still on the same day, 6 December 2024, in the team meeting. Now we are in the team meeting. Tadayashi has already been briefed. Both Ramsame and Rapesu say Perumal announced that Tadayashi had already been briefed. Rapesu found that very strange because the designated project diversion team was only then receiving the formal briefing. So when did Tadayashi get the briefing? What is unresolved? Who briefed Tadayashi? And when did he get that briefing? What did he receive? Was it done before the authorization? Still on the same day, 6 December 2024, after the briefing meeting, Matthew Sissoko appears unaware of the project diversion. Rapesu telephoned Matthew Sissoko, the head of investigations and operations at IDAC. According to Rapesu, Sissoko appeared not to know about the new investigation and began asking Rapesu for information. The significance of this is that on Rapesu's version, IDAC head of investigation operations was apparently outside the information loop while Johnson was directly involved. Perumal was operationally involved. The Section 2813 had already been authorized and Sissoko doesn't know. And Tadayashi had already been briefed. Still on the same day, 6 December 2024, later in the day, the dockets must be collected today. Ramsame says Johnson repeatedly insisted the dockets must be collected today, no matter what. And it's a Friday afternoon. You know, Friday afternoon, people are already thinking about the weekend. But Andrea Johnson was not on the weekend mood. Perumal allegedly instructed Rapesu not to wait for for any written letter because he wanted the dockets immediately. Rapesu went to Valeria but discovered that the dockets were locked in General Jacob's office. They could not be physically collected that Friday. Important correction. 6 December, there was an urgent attempt to obtain the dockets. However, the dockets were collected on Monday, 9 December. That is when IDAC received the dockets. They received them later. I think they wanted to work on them over the weekend, but they couldn't. We're staying on 6 December 2024. This is now like after 3 p.m. Johnson calls General Sentimule of the SAPS. Sentimule herself testified that Johnson called her requesting an intervention concerning the dockets in Jacob's safe. Sentimule says neither Johnson or General Jacobs told her what the dockets were actually concerning. Nonetheless, she contacted General Jacobs concerning their release. So Johnson's internal instruction that the dockets had to be obtained that day and her later approach to Sentimule appear to form parts of the same urgent efforts. Interference. 9 December 2024. 4 requested dockets versus 7 originals collected. Rapesu returned to collect the dockets. He testified that Johnson's letter had been sent to Sentimule. Jacobs telephoned Sentimule. After that conversation, Jacobs indicated that everything was in order. Rapesu signed for and collected the original dockets. But there was another problem. The letter identified 4 dockets. Rapesu says he received 7 dockets. What is unresolved is who selected the additional 3. Why were 7 original dockets surrendered against a requested underlying 4? They were all 7 covered by the authorized project diversion scope. The significance of this is that the material supporting the 6 December Section 2813 could not have arisen from IDAC's analysis of these dockets. So IDAC did not have them until December 9. And by the time they got these dockets, Section 2813 had already been authorized. 10 December 2024. The dockets do not substantiate the allegations. Ransome says she examined the dockets and sent Johnson a written document summary report. Her assessment was that the dockets did not establish prima facie support for the allegations that are in Section 27. They contained little meaningful detail. And an assessment contained in the big clips was broadly consistent with her own conclusions. The significance of this is that by December 10, Johnson's office had the dockets plus a prosecutorial assessment saying they did not substantiate the referral allegations. 10 December 2024, later that day, Section 28 powers continue anyway. Ramsamy says Johnson nonetheless instructed her to engage Perumal urgently regarding banking information connected to Lushar. The question is, what new evidence justified further intrusive investigative measures after the prosecutors adverse assessment. 11 December 2024, SAPS legal opinion is signed. The SAPS legal opinion was signed 11 December. Remember, they got the dockets from General Jacobs safe. That was after 6 December, Section 2813 authorization, the 6 December intervention of the dockets, the 9 December dockets handover, Ramsame's 10 December assessment. What can safely be said is that the 10 December legal opinion could not have been the legal basis for the actions taken on December 6. It does not by itself prove the earlier conduct was unlawful, but it cannot be ignored either. 12 December 2024, a broad crime intelligence inquiry formality is registered. Hadayashe agreed that the broader crime intelligence inquiry was formally registered during December and derived its authority from the December 6 Section 2813 authorization. The relevant CIN reference was interpreted reflecting 12 December 2024. And then after 3 p.m. comes one of the most memorable documentary markers in this entire investigation. Section what? Senior investigator Rapesu emailed to Dylan Perimal, Ramsame, and Padayashe. The subject line is section what? The chronology has now become 6 December 2813 is authorized, 9 December 7 original SAPS dockets are received, 10 December the prosecutor says the material does not substantiate the allegation, 11 December the SAPS legal opinion, it's signed by the legal department, 12 December, a broad crime intelligence inquiry is registered. 12 December, section what is emailed. This is the existing draft already identifies this sequence and email. 9 December 2024, the complainant still has not been substantively consulted. The team intended to consult Fidel Adams on 19 December 2024. The consultation did not proceed because Adams was having a vacation at Sun City. Ramsame declined to travel there, and a January consultation was arranged in Cape Town. The significance of this is that by then, Project Diversion had already been authorized. 7 dockets had been collected. These dockets had been assessed. The prosecutor had raised evidential deficiencies, and the broad crime intelligence inquiry had been registered. Yet the assigned prosecutorial investigative team had still not conducted its substantive consultation with Fidel Adams. 19 December 2024, sensitive crime intelligence documents emerge. Ramsame says sensitive material emerged during a vetting report, procurement records, personal information, potential witness information, and material concerning potential suspects. According to Ramsame, the names emerging from this material did not entirely correspond with the separate suspect list Johnson had handed her on 5 December. What is in, oh God, this is, oh my God, this story is, anyway, what is unresolved is who copied the documents. How did Fidel Adams obtain these documents? When did Perimal receive them? Were they part of the Section 27 material? Were they lawfully possessed and transferred? Nobody knows. But anyway, we move on to December 31st, 2024, a very famous day. Minister Mtunu orders the PKTT disbandment. Minister Senzo Mtunu issued these directives concerning the PKTT. This comes 25 days after Molefe was arrested. McClellan assessed the Hawks interfering with these two operations and the name dropping of his own name in that scene. We move on. 5 January 2025, after the disbandment letter, Paul O'Sullivan's Mokwele information reaches Johnson. 5 days after that disbandment is issued, Paul O'Sullivan already has the disbandment letter. An email trail later produced during Rapesu's evidence showed that Paul O'Sullivan had sent a Mokwele-related information. Among those copied were Andrea Jensen, Lieutenant General Shadrach Sibia, Minister Senzo Mtunu, and others. The significance of this is that Johnson had received Paul O'Sullivan Mokwele-related material before Rapesu was formally sent to consult with Paul O'Sullivan. 6 January 2025, Adams returns and the affidavit problem deepens. Ramsamy Perumal Rapesu consulted Adams at the Cape Town DPP's office. Ramsamy says Adams indicated that he retained copies of sensitive crime intelligence documents and documents had been provided to Perumal. The team regarded the existing A1 statements as inadequate and requiring substantial supplementation. Rapesu confirmed that 4 supplementary affidavits were obtained and commissioned by himself. The safest characterization is that the 4 affidavits appear to have been intended to supplement the sparse allegations already contained in the SAPS dockets and provide greater evidential detail. Their precise legal status remains important. Were they supplementary A1 statements, ordinary supplementary affidavits, supplementary material of the Section 27 material, or something else? We should not automatically call them new Section 27 affidavits without the documents establishing that status themselves. We're still on the same day. The second affidavit problem. This is now the biggest additions to the timeline. Rapesu testified that 6 January, only 4 supplementary affidavits were obtained in his presence because he commissioned them. He was subsequently shown another A1 affidavit dated 6 January 2025, signed in Cape Town and commissioned by Perumal. Rapesu's response was he did not know that affidavit, had never seen it before it was shown to him. He further said the information in that A1 had not been supplied by Adams during the consultation in which Rapesu participated in. The disclosure problem. Which January affidavits went to the accused? Ramsamy was later questioned about the docket clause to the accused. This is the accused at this time were Lieutenant General Khumalo and his team. She said she did not see Rapesu's supplementary affidavit in the disclosure copy available to her. Instead, she identified the disclosed documents as affidavits commissioned by Perumal. Commissioner Khumalo put the issue directly. He doesn't waste time. If those were not the original 4 affidavits taken by the team, had the wrong affidavits been disclosed to the accused? Ramsamy's response was even stronger. In her opinion, that would not merely be irregular, it would be unlawful. That remains Ramsamy's legal assessment, not the commission's finding. The document question is now set number 1. 4 supplementary affidavits Ramsamy and Rapesu say were taken during the Cape Town consultation, versus the second set B affidavits dated 6 January commissioned by Perumal that later appeared in the disclosure material. The unresolved question: are these the same statements in different form, or did one set of affidavits replace another? Rapesu agreed with the proposition put to him that in his commissioned affidavits were missing from disclosure and another affidavit appeared instead. This raised a possible substitution issue that must now sit prominently in the master timeline. 13 January 2025, Rapesu consults with Paul O'Sullivan. Rapesu was instructed to establish what Paul O'Sullivan had investigated regarding the BMW lady. Now, all of a sudden, we start hearing about the BMW lady. We didn't know this name was not there this whole entire time. And the other question that Rapesu was instructed to establish was whether a criminal case had been reported and whether there was a docket IDAC could obtain. Paul O'Sullivan sent him at 14:11 hours Minister Mchunu's 31st directive. 14:28, information relating to Brigadier Dineo Mokwele. Rapesu printed the material and placed it in the investigation file. The significance of this is that Mokwele Lane was now drawing from more than Adams' affidavits. It involved Adams plus Paul O'Sullivan information plus the minister's directive. 15 January 2025, Paul O'Sullivan consultation is recorded. Rapesu's document diary entry recording the consultation and documents appears to have been made on 15 January 2025. So still on 16 January 2025, Perumal circulates the project diversion presentation. Perumal circulated this project diversion presentation to the team that was involved in it. The presentation itself was dated 22 January 2025 because he intended to present it on that day. I guess he wanted the participant to see the presentation before the meeting, which is kind of like normal in an office setting. So 22 January 2025, project diversion presentation is presented. Rapesu confirmed that the presentation was delivered. He attended. Andrea Johnson attended. Gorgeous was there. And it contained PKTT allegations similar to those he remembered seeing in the missing December or November Section 27 affidavit. The presentation dealt with allegations containing the PKTT, the Secret Service account expenditure, some call it the slush fund, the vehicles, accommodation, Lieutenant General Kumalo, General Lushaba, senior crime intelligence officials, and even a suspicion that the National Commissioner, Fanny Masemula, might be involved in all of this. The significance of this is that by 22 January 2025, there can be little dispute that project diversion had become a broad PKTT and crime intelligence investigation. More importantly, the presentation contains material corresponding with what Ramsamy and Rapesu say happened in the missing December 2024 Section 27 affidavit, even though that material is substantially absent from the CJC 373. Late January 2025, Rapesu challenges the direction of the investigation. Rapesu says he began questioning or refusing aspects of Project Diversion because it included an early attempt to obtain Section 204 statements and investigative steps he believed were being directed towards predetermined conclusions. He remained responsible for the Bushaba matter. Padayashe assumed responsibility of the Mukwele investigation. 31 January 2025. First identified Section 28 summons in the Mukwele investigation. Now we are in the Mukwele investigation full blast. The first identified Section 28 summons in Padayashe's Mukwele docket was issued to BMW. It sought extensive employment information concerning Mukwele, including his employment position, his salary information, qualifications, performance agreements, resignation information, and other employment records. The significance of this is that the first identified cohesive documentary step was aimed at building a detailed personal and employment profile of Mukwele. 10 February 2025, disciplinary action against Rapesu. Rapesu says Johnson called him into her office and handed him a letter notifying him that disciplinary proceedings had been instituted against him. He had 7 days to respond. An important correction. The earlier 24 January disciplinary date must remain deleted. The evidence presently places the commencement of the formal disciplinary action as 10 February 2025. Rapesu's current position. He still remains with IDAC, was not suspended, continues working in a small office by the corner and completely made redundant, may not investigate anything related to security cluster matters, including crime intelligence. His memorable description of his present position is, I am presently on duty sitting in my corner somewhere inside IDAC. The internal disciplinary and related processes appear not to have reached any resolution. This sounds like Ekurhuleni EMPD 2.0, where if you are not in agreement with what's going on, they will take you out. See you on the next one.